Sunday afternoon. Well, that's what it is right now. I'm sure when this video gets uploaded, it may be quite a bit later. I've got a little bit of backlog on videos. But today, actually, Plant 2020, for at least for our sweet corn, is coming to an end. We're going to be planting our last few rows of sweet corn today. So I'm not sure how much we were going to get planted. All we have is what's left in this bag right here. And I think we've got enough to do maybe 6 rows out there in the field. And that's about all the ground that we have left to plant anyway. So, but we're going to plant until at least till we run out of seed. I'm not going to buy another bag because these bags of seed right here for this particular variety of sweet corn, which is called Obsession, is about $400 a bag. So we're going to make do with what's left there, and then once we get that finished, we need to run our second set of string on our tomatoes. We really got to get that done, and we also need to get the sprayer out and take it to Indiana so that we can spray our ground for our pumpkins. I will say the cover crop that we planted over there at our place in Indiana, where we plan on having you pick pumpkins, is not anywhere near as tall as I would like it to be. I'm going to say at this point it's probably about 6 inches, maybe 8 inches, something like that. It probably, I may have, looking back now, I may have been better off just letting the grass grow and trying that and seeing if that would work. The problem with just the grass and trying to no-till into that and trying to use that as a cover crop for what we're trying to do. Again, the purpose of our cover crop for our pumpkins is to try to keep the weeds away and to keep the pumpkins clean. When the pumpkins are growing on bare ground and it rains, and then the mud splashes up on the pumpkins from the rain, and that causes us to have to wash the pumpkins, which in turn is, a more cost for us because of the labor involved in doing that. And it's not really easy washing pumpkins, especially when you got a bunch of them. But grass doesn't really work well because it will go away. It doesn't have enough material there to keep in place all season long. Your cover crops, such as oats or wheats or something like that, when it gets like mature, when it starts heading out, the stems on those plants are much hardier and much bigger around, and they will stay in the field all season long after you plant them. But at the height the oats are right now, the stem has not really got to the point where it's that mature and that hardy and where it's going to last. It's more just like grass. So when we get over there, I'll show you guys that. But right now we're going to fill up this planter and we're going to head out to the field and then get our last bit of sweet corn planted for the year. We've got one more planting of beans left, and then all we have left to plant is the pumpkins. So we really need some rain right now to make everything grow. The sweet corn is way behind what it was this time last year. At this time last year, I was looking at Instagram on our page at Wardlow Farms on Instagram and Facebook, but I seen some pictures, and the sweet corn was actually tasseling this time last year, and it's nowhere even near tasseling right now. So part of that is because of the weather we've had. It's just been really cool and unusually cool up till here recently, and corn likes heat, so we haven't had a lot of heat units to make the corn grow, but I would say maybe we're looking to second week of July if we're lucky at this point. But let's get this built up and get at it. make an Instagram post, because what kind of farmer would I be if I didn't take the time out of my day to make an Instagram post? Well, I made it back to the barn. We unhooked the planter. I'm switching it, well, not really switching the meters out, but I cleaned it out, and I'm switching the population over on the transmission, because got a friend of mine wants to replant some of his field corn with it. He's got like an acre or two he wants to replant. So, but when I cleaned out the seed, this is all I had left. So that's cutting it pretty close. We don't want to waste anything, but that's getting down there. Maybe I'll put that in the garden at the house or something. But so we're going to get our fancy tomato staking equipment out. We're going to go down there and run another line of trellis on the tomatoes. So got to get that done. As you can see, the tomatoes are getting kind of tall now, starting to make little fruit. There's a tomato. So what we're gonna do, we're basically gonna follow the same procedure we did before, except we're gonna, instead of being down at the bottom, we're gonna go about up here and just kind of weave back and forth again, just like we did the last time. And so we're trying to keep the tomatoes upright. But that's what we're doing. But we're starting to see some tomatoes. Excited about that. There's another one growing. These are roadsters. I see some over here on the Better Boys. You can see him down there. There's about 3 tomatoes down there growing. So yeah, exciting. Can't wait for some fresh tomatoes. So I don't know about you guys, but you know, we've eaten tomatoes from the store. We've eaten them from the type that's produced in the greenhouse and whatnot. But there's just nothing better, in my opinion, than tomatoes actually grown in the dirt that are fresh off the farm. Those are by far always the best tomatoes. And I do love tomatoes, but again, I'm kind of picky. I only like them out of the garden, or you know, out of the field. I'm not real big on store-bought tomatoes. They don't have the same flavors. So. Hey folks, how's everyone doing? Today we're planting some pumpkins over at our place in Indiana. I've actually went ahead and I planted an acre over in Kentucky. Brought everything. Brought the fancy tractor and planter over on the gooseneck, and now we're going to plant some here today. Got my lovely assistants. Everyone help me out?
Yeah, I'm going to drive the tractor.
You are?
Yeah, I'm just going to break the tractor.
You're not going to break it.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. In the previous video I was talking about the cover crop on the pumpkins, and we wanted the cover crop to get a little bit bigger because the stems right now aren't quite as hardy as we'd like them to be able to provide ground cover for the pumpkins for the rest of the year. So it's just not real tall. Ideally we would like it at least waist tall, and we've only got, you know, that maybe 6 inches. I was also talking a lot about how much rain we were having early on in the year and complaining quite often about it. And since it's quit raining, we have not had any measurable precipitation for about a month. I mean, it is extremely dry here. That's probably one of the reasons the cover crop really didn't get any taller. So, but it's getting time to plant pumpkins, so we've got some rain in the forecast coming up, so hopefully it's going to help out. We've got a bunch of different varieties that we're going to plant. Again, we get all our seed from Rub Seed. Not a paid advertisement, just satisfied customers. We do get some of our varieties from Stokes, which is another great company to work with. Right now we've always used Rupp, and we've had a really good relationship with them. Not knocking Stokes by any means. They're trying to get some of our business, so we're trying some of the varieties that we are using this year. We are going through Stokes. What do you think? You ready to plant pumpkins?
Yeah.
So one thing about planting pumpkins is that it's kind of like with the squash. A little bit of seed goes a long way. So we're probably striving for about 1,600 seeds per acre, and we have about an acre and 3/10 here at our place that we're going to be planting. But we have several different varieties. The Field Trip variety here, and this is actually through Stokes, and you can only get the Field Trip variety from Stokes, is a smaller pie-sized pumpkin. So we want to go ahead and plant that now because it's going to be planted right now. It's going to be available usually around the 1st of September, around that. So this is going to be all of our U-pick pumpkins. So we're going with varieties that we know work well for your decorative type pumpkins. Another variety that we raise and we like a lot is the Bay Horse Gold. This is something that you can actually only get through Rupp Seed, but it is like a 8 to 12 pound pumpkin, so it's a little bit bigger than the Field Trip, but the Field Trip's more of a maybe 5 to 6 pound pumpkin. We also have Thor. This is a new variety that actually says Steigers, but this is actually Stokes. Stokes bought Steigers out. This is actually a variety that our seed rep asked us to try out. It is a bigger, like 20 to 30 pound jack-o'-lantern type pumpkin. We also have the Large Marge from Rupp Seed. This is another jack-o'-lantern sized pumpkin. And then we also have dropped it. That's Bay Horse Gold. We also have Blue Doll. Blue Doll is like a bluish type colored pumpkin. Last year, a lot of people were wanting those, and we have a Porcelain Doll, which is a white pumpkin. So this is what the varieties that we're growing here. We've also have several different varieties, different than the varieties that we're growing here that we've already planted in Kentucky. We planted some World of Color. We've planted, what else we plant? Tomatoes? I was talking about pumpkins.
Oh.
We planted a lot of different types of pumpkins, some white pumpkins, blue pumpkins, some multicolored pumpkins, some pink pumpkins, and I can't think of all the names of them right now. But so what I'm trying to do right now is figure out what varieties. I mean, I guess you could just throw all these in there and just plant. It's not really going to make that big of a difference, but I like to keep some of the varieties separate so that we can just kind of judge their performance and how they're doing. And also, when we have the U-pick, that we're going to be marking off like different areas where, like, the customers come pick. They can't just like pick the whole field. They'd have to pick this area, and then the next week or whatever, they would pick we would move the string or whatever. They could pick the next area. So we kind of want a good variety in there for the customers to choose from. Also, when you're keeping your varieties together, of course, this is U-pick, but another thing to think about is that the more you keep your varieties together, if you're putting them in bins in the field, if you keep most of your varieties that are similar together, it's easier to sort them in the field. And that's how we harvest pumpkins. When we're out in the field, we sort them in the field by size and put them in bins for all of our wholesale pumpkins. What'd you girls find in there?
Nothing.
Nothing?
It's a big hallway.
Yeah.
Hallway.
Goes all the way to the end of the. So, we're going to figure out what we're going to plant first here, and then
And I'm gonna let the girls actually plant the pumpkins. They're gonna drive the tractor. We've got our garden here that needs a lot of attending to. It's nice just to have some stuff over here close so we're not running back to the farm all the time, because again, it's about a 20-minute drive. So we do put out a few things here. It's a lot of the same varieties and stuff that we grow at the farm, and this is pretty much the same practices as we use here in our little garden that we use over there. It's just always nice to have something close to home. But you girls got to get all these weeds out of here.
Oh, that's fun.
All right, young lady, you ready to drive the tractor?
Yeah.
All right.
Did I get up there?
All right. Can you push that clutch in? You got to push it all the way down. Yeah, still got to go further. Here, Daddy will help you. Your legs just ain't quite as long. Alright. See that second lever over there? These are your hydraulics. So you want to pull that back. Pull it back. All the way back. Let go of it. Alright. Now, put this there. I put it in 3. In number 3, third gear. There you go. Alright, that's your brake. You know that. So here we go. Alright, drive out to the other end. Yeah. Just drive to the field. Drive over there in the grass. Well, folks, we got everything planted. Like I said, it's only about 1.4 acres here. 1.3, 1.4, something like that. Not a whole lot. But, boy, it's hot. It's like 90 today. So, not a whole lot of seed left over from what we were using, which is good. Means we've got plenty to finish up the other acre and a half. Yeah, acre and a half that we'll have to plant. I planted an acre in Kentucky, a little bit over an acre. So we got about close to 2.5 acres planted today. And that means we got about an acre and a half left. We're not growing as many pumpkins this year as we have in the past, because it seems like a lot of people are starting to grow them in our area, and we took a bunch to sell wholesale last year and actually didn't get a great price for them. So we're just scaling that back now. Hopefully we can sell everything that we're raising ourselves here this year. That's the goal. Hey, big wheels rolling. In this area, in this part of Indiana, it's been so wet early on that most farmers didn't even begin to plant until about 3 weeks ago. So, you know, if you're farming several thousands of acres, even if you've got big equipment, that's a pretty big challenge to get thousands of acres in the ground in a 3-week time period, because we're getting into the time frame now. It's like the 20th of June. You know, the later that you put crops out, especially grain and soybeans, your yield goes down. And at this point, I mean, I would highly doubt anybody's putting any corn out. Usually around June 10th is probably the last. I'm not saying always, but usually about June 10th is, at least for us, that's when we cut off field corn. Now sweet corn we'll plant up a little bit later, just because we're trying to have sweet corn all year round. And same thing for the pumpkins. We'll plant some pumpkins in July after we harvest our wheat. But you know, typically always your greatest yields are going to be the earlier you plant it, the better off you are. So anyway, folks, that's going to wrap up this video. I'm going to clean what little bit of seed we have left out of the planter. Then I'm going to go work on my garden. A friend of mine let me use his tiller, so we're going to finish tilling it up and plant a few more things, and then probably call it a night. So tomorrow's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.